welcome to the first session of ACER's 2021 Virtual Leadership Pipeline Program. My name is Jai Vargas, and I am ACER's Vice President of Strategic Engagement and Initiatives. In today's first session, Latina Empower, Elevating Your Managerial Style, we will get managerial insights from Latina corporate leaders sharing insights on how to empower your team, highlight accomplishments to executives, and position yourself for upward mobility. Before we get started, I would like to highlight our session sponsors, PepsiCo and Bank of America. Let's please take one moment to watch this brief video from PepsiCo.
They might be called Hispanic small businesses, but there's nothing small about them. And at PepsiCo, there's nothing small about our commitment to small businesses, because there's nothing small about their commitment to their community, to become an extension of its voice and their desire to move forward. For their familia, for their gente, with funds, grants, and coaching, we stand by their side every step of the way. Porque juntos crecemos.
Beautiful. There's nothing more that I love than videos just like that one that have all of our culture and our language and our community. Thank you so much, PepsiCo, for your continued support of ACER's and dedication to Hispanic inclusion. We so appreciate you. Next, I'd like to introduce Silvina Salazar, who's the Sales Performance Executive, Pacific Southwest Region, Business Banking, to say a few comments on behalf of Bank of America.
It is a pleasure to be here today. We're deeply honored to be part of the Leadership Pipeline Program and this panel, and to be recognized by ACER as a Latina Champion sponsor. At Bank of America, we believe diversity and inclusion are critical for our teammates, our clients, and the communities we serve. We work to ensure we have a diverse representation across all of our levels. For example, our U.S. workforce is 19% Hispanic Latino, on par with census and exceeding industry benchmarks. In this panel, as we will focus on women's experiences, I wanted to share how important investing in women is for us. We recognize the significant role women play in advancing thriving economies, with women owning 37% of all businesses worldwide. That is why we continue to invest every day in helping them make meaningful contributions within our company and in the communities at large. Let me give you a snapshot of Bank of America's current employee demographics. Women make up 50% of our global workforce. That's 50%. 32% of our global management team, and more than 40% of our managers, exceeding industry benchmarks as well. So how did we get here? By bringing talented women to our company, investing in their career growth, providing a range of supportive benefits, while also supporting the economic empowerment of women in our communities around the world. We hold ourselves accountable through key metrics and outcomes. I'm excited about today's conversation. Before we continue with our panel, I'd love the opportunity to share a brief video with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvina. Bank of America, and PepsiCo for your continued support of ACER and your dedication to the Hispanic community. Now I'd like to introduce you to today's moderator, ACER's very own Senior Vice President of Operations, Sylvia Perez Cash. Sylvia, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and have a fantastic panel.
Thank you, Jai. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, PepsiCo, and thank you, Bank of America, for supporting this session. And thank you to all our attendees for being here this morning. I am thrilled to start today's convening with a conversation about authentic leadership with three incredible executives. That is what these next 2 days are all about. In our conversation in this moment, we'll get to the heart of many of the issues that we'll be exploring together over the conference. I'm honored to share the floor with our three panelists. Their individual pathways are unique and dynamic. Some of them may resonate with your own journeys. All of them and all of their stories will offer insights and perspectives on pathways to success. First, I'd like to welcome Dr. Murari Simeon to our panel. Dr. Murari is the Vice President of Diversity and Engagement at PepsiCo North America. Dr. Murari.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Next to join us is Silvina Salazar. We just heard from her a moment ago. Ms. Salazar is the Pacific Southwest Sales Performance and Support Executive for Business Banking, one of Bank of America's 8 lines of business. Silvina?
Thank you. Excited to be here. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to get us started today with a little bit of storytelling. We're all here today to learn from each of you and your incredible careers and all the experiences and perspectives that you bring to the table. So could you help us get to know you a little bit? Tell us about yourselves. Tell us about your journey. Where did it start in corporate America and where are you now in that journey? Dr. Murari, I'd like to start with you.
Well, Dr. Murari Simeon, I am originally born and raised in Puerto Rico. And I am the proud daughter of 2 really working hard parents who did their best so that we could have a future here today. You know, growing up, I didn't really have mentors, but I was really blessed to have a teacher recognize my potential and invest in me in high school. And that's really where my career started in corporate America. My teacher sponsored me and advocated for me to have a co-op role in corporate America. And I would say the rest is history. I had tremendous support from sponsors and mentors, and I had great opportunity to work for great companies such as Pfizer, Prudential Financial, Revlon, and now PepsiCo. But you know, what was more critical and important was that they recognized my potential, right? These companies allowed me to perform, but nourish my potential. And today I'm the executive, the mother, the wife, the community leader, the daughter, because of those opportunities that I was able to have. Now, I'm not done by any means. Well, I'm done having kids, but I'm not done with my purpose, right? It is said that if your vision and your dreams do not scare you, then you are not dreaming big enough. And for me, I believe the key to my success, to all the different roles and the different companies that I work with, it was because I wanted to create what I want to see. And if I waited to see people like me, I wouldn't be the successful executive that I am today. But equally, I wouldn't have a joyful personal life with my children and my husband. So I'm continuously elevating my mindset to think different, because that is what fuels me each day to create a better world, a world where multicultural women in board seats in high-level positions is the norm. Now, that's an audacious goal. So I am quite busy, but there is a lot to do. And my life, my experiences just continue to fuel me to do more. So that's a little bit about me. And we'll learn more later.
Thank you. We will definitely pick up on something that you said around this early recognition of potential and how that's been a thread through your journey. Silvina, we'll turn to you. So tell us about your story and where you are today and how you got here.
Thank you. I've been with Bank of America for 31 years. So it is the one and only company that I worked for in the United States. I'm an immigrant. I was not born in here. I did live here and learned English when I was 8 years old. But, like many of us, our parents moved to different countries to find better opportunities for all of us. And I started as a teller 31 years ago. It was accidental. A friend of mine worked for the bank, said, hey, you speak Spanish. Why don't you join us? Part-time job. And 31 years later, I can tell you that I've had the opportunity to join different projects, right, at moment in time. And I think that's one of the important things. We need to know how to recognize those whys in the road, where if you go towards the right or to your left, it's a pivotal decision you have to make in your career. And I have several of those that I'll share later. But through that, maybe a theme is that I've always liked to look forward and build new things, be part of a new project, new initiative, new role that was being created. And I was lucky to have a leadership team with me that acknowledged my capability and that said, sure, go ahead, try. You want to be a new accountant, you want to be a real estate loan officer, you want to be a banking center manager, you want to join that new program that's called financial management advice. Sure. Of course, every time I did that, I performed, because it's not about just having the vision, creating the plan, but it's about the execution. Right? You got to get it done in order to continue to grow. And that creates the next opportunity. I believe that having an opportunity is the first step. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you do with that opportunity, and making sure that as you work along with your management team, your leadership team, and deliver, that enables the next opportunity. My career journey, a couple of things I like to point out. There were roles that, what they were, how they were described enticed me. Had I ever done risk management? No. Had I ever built international operations? I had opportunity to go and was asked to build a bank operation in Costa Rica and then later Guadalajara, Mexico, and ran that region for a while. But that doesn't stop me. I think embracing risk is another way of growing. You have to embrace risk and go into the unknown. So, and I thrive with that. So it's about building, setting the vision, building a plan, and executing it. Another pivotal moment is what you do, not just your day job, but what you do with opportunities when you find them. And we'll talk about that later. I got involved with OLA, the Bank of America Employee Resource Group, at a very early stage. And that was a why in my career. And through that, I got noticed. And because I got noticed, there were opportunities. Built it from 8 jobs to 30 and ran it for 9 years and created opportunities for Latinos and Latinas like us to connect, to know we're here, to support each other, and to be able to grow together. So that's a little bit about me.
I think I want to start because, just to tie in before we switch lines a little bit from stories, is in each of those journeys, there was a moment where you knew that you were on the executive track, not just on a successful track, but the executive, that you were a team leader, that you had a large vision, that you could influence these massive companies, right, in some way. Could you speak to that, if you can identify it, what that milestone was and how you responded to it in the time, and if you recognize it at that time or not? If you had a specific mentor or sponsor that helped you recognize it or not. And Slovene, I'd like to start with you because you specifically mentioned OLA and the importance and the role that OLA played in your career success.
Absolutely. As you bring this up, I can think of 2 instances, and I have to say that we're both tied to me taking that extracurricular role of building and leading OLA. Those are decisions you make in a moment's time. And I'll talk about the first one just to kind of set the ground here. There was an article in our internal flagship where Bank of America in 2006, Latinas self-recognized us as the best company for Latinas to work on. And there was a pilot mentioned there that was all in the Northeast that, an employee network that was being developed. And like, I've been 16 years with a bank. I'm in California, and there is no Hispanic network here. So I reached out to the person that was listed there that was running this pilot, I guess, and I introduced myself, but I knew that when I made that call, and I literally remember the moment the decision, is because in California, we don't test things in California, right? It's too important of a market to make that decision. Any business we do, California is significant. So I knew if I was going to go, I had to go all the way in. made the call, got introduced, and started the first 2 chapters in California, and then Arizona, Texas, and the rest. I led and built that enterprise network for 9 years. As a result of being in that role, as I was in transaction services for about 5 years, so the whole operations part of the bank, which I loved. I've been in sales 12 years, and I moved to operations just to learn the machine that we have in order to deliver to our clients. There was a position. And the position came to me because the executive was looking for somebody in the West Coast. And through that somebody introduced me and said, hey, Silvina's in West Coast. It was to be the division, the West Coast, the West Division Operations Executive. And it was about 1,000 banking centers, anything that had to do with operations, all the work, not sales and not service. There were 3 pillars. And because I had been in operations, had been in sales and in service, I was like the perfect combination. At that moment, that switch, I moved from, one band level to another. So the executive level. I did not realize as much in that moment. The opportunity was huge. But like anything, I love building things. I love going into things where they're just starting and then, setting the path and getting it done. So that was one moment. And the other moment is, as a result of having been leading Ola, the bank through the acquisition of Countrywide, we acquired they have very small operations in Costa Rica. And the decision was made to create a near shore delivery operations there. And somebody told this executive, they called me. I was literally sitting at my desk and I said, hey, your name came through the diversity in conversation team. And we're looking for a Latina who has 6 Sigma Green Belt certification, who knows sales, service, operations, that can speak fluently Spanish and English, that has that client interaction. And so we're looking for you. And we heard through Ola. So that just shows you my leadership, my dedication, the job that I just could not do. People always say, why are you driving this? It's so much work to run an employee network, 8,000 members, 30 plus chapters. I always told folks that that's a job that I could not do, because if I didn't do it, how do we create that opportunity for others like us to connect, grow, and build and strengthen our careers? So because of that, I was noticed. And certainly when you're asked to leave your country and run operations internationally, you can say that was a moment that I thought, okay, I think I'm in the executive path here.
I'm inspired just listening. And Dr. Marari, what about you? What's your milestone moment in executive leadership?
To understand that, you got to go back to my upbringing and how I got here. And really quickly, just like Jackie mentioned, I've received my education or obtained my education at night, my bachelor's, my master, and my doctorate. And I believe that my passion for learning and taking risk is what positively impacted my performance throughout my career. And at the end of the day, that's when I really started to get noticed. Because at the end of the day, and I think, you said it earlier, is your performance has to be up to par. You can get noticed, but if your performance is not there, you will get passed on. It is a baseline. At the end of the day, people want to support winners, and winners get noticed. So one of the things that I noticed early on in my career, the CHRO would say, give it to Merari, she'll get it done. And that's how I started to get noticed. I started to create a reputation. But then as they gave me those assignments, and many of them, I had no idea, but my love for learning figured it out and delivered quality work. Then the assignments started getting harder, and I started thinking about strategy, and I started making an impact, and I didn't settle for status quo. And I believe that it was something that started earlier because I wanted to continue to learn, because I was delivering quality work. I was getting noticed, but also the performance was there. And I believe it was when there was an assignment that you needed to travel and move. And I was like, I'll take it. I may have been naive at the time, but I believe it was taking those assignments and really figuring it out, and not waiting to have all the ducks in the row, like they say, that really helped me get noticed.
There's a shared tolerance for risk here, even an invitation for risk, for you will take that opportunity. You don't need everything figured out. You don't need the certainty. And that seems to be a real common thread in the story of each of your successes. I have a bunch of questions, but this is so intriguing, and the audience is sending a bunch. We are asking for questions from the audience, and they are coming. And so I actually want to pivot a little bit and get right to some of these questions, and maybe we'll get back to some of our previously thought of conversations. So here's a question from the audience that I know comes up a lot when we hear about successful individuals, particularly people of color, particularly women. Do any of you have you experienced imposter syndrome, right? And the attendee who's asking this question is curious because they have heard, and the research shows that imposter syndrome affects minorities, especially the higher we get in the corporate ladder. So can one of you maybe share if you have an experience of imposter syndrome, how it showed up, and how you dealt with it at the time? Who would like to take that?
I believe that society and many times our own culture has put some biases that have forced us to have some of these imposter syndromes. And the way that I've been able to overcome it is realize my worth, number one, realize that what I know, what my values are, and really stand on them and walk past the fear, despite of the fear. I give you an example. When I first, started going to college, I failed a few classes because I didn't have any mentors. I could have easily chose to stop. I could have easily chose to take a different route, but I kept going forward despite of fear. I just kind of say, "Hey, fear, you get on the passenger seat or in the back seat. I'm going to continue to move forward." When I take on any role in the organization today, I think the biggest thing that we got to remember, and I think it also ties to risks when it comes to imposter syndrome, is that we must be clear about one thing. Doing nothing is a risk. Letting imposter syndrome determine your future is a risk. And understanding that the risk of doing nothing is a risk is essential, because the price that you pay, or that I would have paid for not taking the risk, I think it would have been too high in many of the situations. So a lot of the times I ask myself, whenever this imposter syndrome comes on that I could not do it, I ask myself, what is the best thing that could happen? And if I achieve this, will this benefit anybody? Will it benefit me? And then finally, what is the worst thing that could happen? Many people told me, to be an executive, be a mother, there's going to be things that you're going to need to give up. But I remember somebody telling me, you don't have to do it their way. You can choose to create what you want to see. And that's been my motto. So the imposter syndrome, at least for me, it doesn't go away. I still hear the voices, but I am in charge of me. So I determine what I move forward with, whether I'm filled with fear or not.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just move on a little bit here of something related. So all of you, your stories are so compelling, right? They're so dynamic, and so but I don't want anybody to think you're not unicorns. You're rare, but you're not the unicorn in the room, right? And so in Acer's most recent Corporate Inclusion Index report, we shared that from our participating companies this year, only 0.69% of the employees in those companies, with executive level employees, were Latinas, right? So again, you guys aren't the unicorns, but you're very, very rare, a small group of executives. So you must also be extremely skilled in managing across difference. I mean, 9 out of the 10 rooms you're in, you are the underrepresented voice, whether it's the female voice or the woman of color voice or the Latina specifically voice. And that's something that has been present through, I would feel safe to assume, the majorities of your careers. I would like to really think about that and I have 2 questions in that. One is from the audience and one is from me. So from the audience, we have a question about, what's your advice for other Latinas who are the first in their role, right? Whether it's battling the imposter syndrome or any other component of that experience. What's your advice to that Latina? And then secondarily, where is the strength that Latina, what's the strength, the source that she can rely on to say, I have something unique in this room because I'm Latina? And if you guys could speak to both of those components, that'd be great. And Silvina, excuse me, since we didn't get to you for the last question, we'll start with you with this.
Thank you. So I'll share what I call my 10 leadership words that I believe, whether you're Latina or Latino or anybody, really, we should be able to leverage. I've leveraged in my career and has helped me grow. First and foremost, you got to lead with integrity. No matter what role you have, you got to make sure that the decisions you make, the actions you take, are aligned to your ethics, to your beliefs, and then those are never compromised, because you will not succeed if you're cheating yourself. You will not feel good about what you do. So never, ever, ever compromise your ethics. Lead with integrity. So others will see it, others will follow. Define your brand. Early in my career, my brand was built by accident, not knowing that I could manage and really focus on understanding what people thought of me. What was it that led them to want to work with me or follow me, and that I could, along the path, ask for input and improve it. But defining your brand, what you stand for, what shows up when you're not in that meeting, is critically important. You want to be known for a type of leader. So know it, define it, and execute it. Take risk. You have to take risk. I always tell folks, it doesn't matter if you don't know. Don't we have all the capability of learning? We all can learn. You don't have to know everything about a role that interests you to go for it, to ask for information, to make that connection, to network in that area or group of your company. If there's something that entices you, you can learn. I can learn. It's just how it is. So there's nothing really we can't do. And when you feel that uncomfortable feeling in I call them pterodactyls, sometimes not even butterflies, because sometimes they're huge, embrace them, because it means you're growing. Yes, you're uncomfortable. So what? Okay, let's move forward. And lastly, inspire others. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. You got to be able to you want to be that leader that you inspire others to take action, to grow, to lift others up along with you. So then we can all move forward, and making sure that they know you are there to be with them, for them, inspiring others to do their best, to be their best in what they do.
I love that. And if all of those, for our attendees who were writing notes like me, I'm going to do a quick recap there, right? Authenticity and integrity, your personal leadership brand, risk taking, managing your fear as a part of that, and inspiration and bringing others along. Silvina, thank you. That was excellent. So what, anybody else want to comment on that before we go to the next question? Because that was just beautiful.
I'll add something if that's okay. You mentioned something earlier and about authentic leadership, and that's described as a leader that exhibits consistent behavior and actions despite the circumstances. So to me, it's about knowing your values and letting your values fuel your power. While I often flex on my style, throughout the years, I have learned that the price to waver on my values is too high to pay. The emotional, physical, mental stress of my personal and professional relationships was no longer worth it. My love and respect for humanity, for Christ, for family, for integrity, which was just mentioned, fuels my authentic leadership style. And that helps me know where I'm standing. The other thing that I would say is knowing that everything you need to succeed is already within you. All you need to do is grow it and unleash it. Unleash that power, because you already have it within you. And then finally, knowing that it takes courage. It takes courage to move forward. It takes courage to know you're worth it. So stay focused and you'll get there.
We have over 800 people with us today, all of them dedicated to investing in themselves and unleashing their power, tapping into their values, leveraging their integrity, making the most, executing on that opportunity. So if you could see all their faces right now, I would like, what would you tell the Latin talent that's with us today on what they should focus on in this time that we have together, and what's one thing they can do tomorrow to take advantage of their own leadership, what they already have? And Dr. Morar will speak. We'll start with you. We'll go around in my circle on the screen.
The one thing we could all do a better job each day is investing more time in our personal well-being, because without that, you will have no career, you will not have anything. So number one priority is take care of your personal well-being. The rest will come. You're all smart, you're all brilliant, and you all have a wonderful future ahead of you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then Silvina?
I would say that you have got to know, what is your dream? What is it you want to be and achieve personally, professionally? Because if you don't, you're not going to be walking towards anything. We always have to have a vision, a dream, a goal that we want to get to. You have to see it, you have to feel it, you have to declare it, and then you have to pursue it.
So I want to thank each of you sincerely for being so candid, for being so honest, so vulnerable, right? Our stories are us. And, there's not enough time, we don't have enough spaces to share those stories. So I'm thrilled that you could join us there today, and that each and every one of our attendees could feel inspired by your own journeys. So thank you. With that, I will ask Jai to come back and close us out for the day. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow, what a phenomenal session. Thank you, Sylvia. I'm sure we're all walking away with some great ideas to start implementing immediately. Our next session is titled Transition Careers with Confidence. We'll be starting in just a few minutes in the auditorium. Have a wonderful day of sessions, and don't forget, we are giving away a Dell laptop. Thank you so much, Dell, to one randomly selected registrant who uses the hashtag on social media, LPP21. So make sure that you post a picture of any one of our sessions. You thank the organization that invited you today and tag ACER. Use the hashtag ACER LPP21. Thank you so much, and good luck on the rest of the sessions.